Hello everyone, welcome back to Lab4crypto. Bitcoin is at new all-time high, so congratulations to everyone who held when we had the drop. It was something that I tried to warn you guys many times in Twitter and as well in our users in the platform, but you can check the countless tweets that I made, which basically I was saying that at 78k Bitcoin was maybe on the best position for someone to accumulate instead of exit. And also when I said that Ethereum was at the time was at 1.5k price and that it touched our bottom range estimation and that it was a good time to basically start DCAing in. Anyway, let's go now to the new all-time of Bitcoin, what I am expecting for Bitcoin to do in summer, how I will hedge myself if Bitcoin drops or if not. And also, I will going to tell you what I'm expecting for Bitcoin price to do later this year and why actually I'm very confident that Bitcoin will reach new all-time highs and prices north of 180k by the end of year. But I think this summer maybe is going to be one of the most important ones of this cycle. So if you like the content, please give us a thumbs up and leave a comment, as that helps the channel a lot. And also consider to have a look in our platform, which we have thousands of charts and unique models, risk management tools, that it will help you navigate the market. So let's dive in. Do not forget that I have, let's find it just a moment, our blog, which basically it's free and you can always see what I'm doing in the market because I'm giving some hints which they can help you navigate the market. And you can see our latest article, my latest article, which I think it will be helpful to also read it by when you are watching this video. So Bitcoin recently is rallying towards its golden cross. Now let's have a look what golden cross means for Bitcoin for the short term and the long term. Let's have a look from 2015. Let me zoom in and I will come back later. So when you see this yellow dot means that we had the 50-day SMA crossing the 200 days SMA from above, which means that we have momentum and that is a good sign for especially the long term of the market. Because usually, even if we have a drop during a golden cross, later this year we're doing very, very well. So let's have a look on the previous one that we had, which basically was in October 2024, which you will see we basically plateau a couple of days later, and then we had a drop. The usual drop that you will see is around 10% and more for Bitcoin. So it's good to have that in mind. But of course, there were times that Bitcoin continued to go up, and I think was only one time that actually did not give any time for someone to accumulate during the dip, which I think was in 2023. Yeah, so you'll see that we had one in October 2023, which Bitcoin went all the way up from 35k, let's say, all the way up to 73. So my point is that you need to be exposed to BTC, even if you believe that's going to be a drop. And I'm going to show you some examples so you'll know. Here we had the golden cross in February 2023, and then we moved sideways for a little bit, and then we had a drop a couple of months later. Also, if we go to May 2020, you will see again we had a drop from 9k to 8K. So the point is, and here in 2023, it's the same. What you will observe is that during golden crosses, we tend to rally towards the golden cross, then have a short pullback, and then we move to new all-time highs. And that is the main point that you need to hold, that Q4 is very promising and you need to be aware what the probabilities are saying about the future of Bitcoin, especially as we move to Q4 of 2025 and the Q1 of 2026. So the main strategy that I would suggest is that still be exposed to Bitcoin if you want to, and if you don't have enough capital, it's good to have some on the side, especially if we going to get the the summer weakness that we tend to get for Bitcoin. If we check the monthly returns of Bitcoin, usually you see August is basically the worst month of Bitcoin. And September, but the last 2 months were good, but August you'll see that it tend to be not very good month. Therefore, I will expect BTC to have continue to go up and through as we enter June, but I will expect somewhere between July, end of June, and August to have some weakness. That weakness, though, depends where Bitcoin is going to top now, because, for example, if Bitcoin tops to 120, for example, that means the low will be at 110 or 100 or just 100K whatsoever, which means that you need to be prepared for that case, especially if you are interested in altcoins. Because do not forget, when Bitcoin has a drop, for example, a 10% drop, altcoins will have 20 or 25 or more. Therefore, because we tend to be at the end of the cycle, in my opinion, if we go and check the altcoin season index, you'll see that now it's Bitcoin season now. So Bitcoin is outperforming most of altcoins. But we are going to enter these phases where altcoins, so when the red line is above the purple line, which is where altcoins tend to outperform Bitcoin. And I know that a lot of people say that maybe this time it's not going to be an altcoin season, but I don't agree with this. I think we're still going to have an altcoin season. Of course, it's not going to be all altcoins because there are millions of them. But projects with good utility, good marketing, they are going to have a run, I think, when Bitcoin reaches its top. Again, I think that will happen when Bitcoin start to move above 130K, 150. Then we are going to start seeing this red line going towards the purple line. And actually, these 3 to 5 months that we are above this purple line is where the famous altcoin season happens, where everything is booming, and is a point where you can have a very good returns, but also your risk is high. And that is why you need to manage your risk every day and have tools to help you see the risk level of your favorite altcoin, for example, and be ready when we reach high risk levels. So let's move back to the article, as it will help me explain you my thought better. So the difference of this pull, pull to the upside of Bitcoin is that the volume compared to what we had in December is considerably low. That is a good thing and a bad thing at the same time, and I will explain. Bitcoin growth basically now is from institutional investors and not retail. And we can see that from Google Trends. If you go and check, you will see that basically we are at points. So 26, if we go a little bit back, 26, we are at levels where Bitcoin was 68K, for example, and not on levels that we saw in November, December of 2024. So that is a good thing, because any moves and any drops of Bitcoin, I expect them to be shallower because we don't have excessive leverage. retail is not FOMOing in yet, which that is a good thing, as it will help Bitcoin establish a level. So it will be ideal for Bitcoin to never go below 100K again, but who knows? But it's a level which I'm going to accumulate, for example, if we go there, and especially close to the bull market support band, which keeps going up. So I guess if Bitcoin goes a little bit sideways and then drop, it's going to be above 95K, let's say the window of accumulation. But of course, I'm going to check at the time what the risk level of Bitcoin is, because if the risk level of Bitcoin is below 50%, that is something that I'm willing to take when we are in a bull run. And the target of 100K for Bitcoin is intact in my as in my books, as I believe. So Bitcoin, I think, definitely when we starting to see this blue line touching the green line is where I'm gonna start thinking to exit heavily. And let's assume that this is going to be in December. It's going to be at 202K, for example. If it's going to be in November, that level is going to be 196. So it depends, because this equation is monotonically increasing. The time where we shoot to the upside is going to be crucial to have some models to help you identify the tops. And we have many in the platform, and I explained them a lot of times. The other one is a deviation from the power law, which usually we get above 70%. When we get above 70%, that is a good time to start preparing your exit strategy. Our flagship model, which takes on-chain and off-chain data daily to give you a risk level, which you will see it capture all Bitcoin tops basically and bottoms in 2017, in 2013, in 2021, in 2024, when we had the drop from 65K to lower values. Let's have a look so you will know. So Bitcoin was at 73K, then it went all the way down to 53, then risk was lower, then increased again when we reach values of 95. Let's have a look. In November, the risk was 76.6 when the price was at 97.89K, so 98, let's say, which was a signal for you to start exiting. And you will see that basically from November, we managed to go as low as 29% risk when the price was at 77.9. And this is where I was saying to people, it's a good time to enter because we are in a bull run. And the good thing, the receipts are also on Twitter, not only on premium members in the platform, which I discuss and explain how I navigate the market and how I am managing my portfolio. But you can find it also in X, where the tweet was on April 8th when the when I published it, when the Bitcoin price was at, let's have a look, at 78K, 79, let's say. So my point is that it's crucial for you to have a strategy. There is a chance that we are going to have weakness in summer, so it's important for you to have some capital on the side if you are willing to stay in the market to take the most of it. Because do not forget that the exponential phase of altcoins did not happen yet. We know that Bitcoin is outperforming altcoins for the last 2 or 3 years, but there is that short window of 3 to 5 months where altcoins are heavily outperforming Bitcoin, and then we have the crash and the start of the bear market. And that is a point which I think it's crucial for you to be in the market and have a strategy around it. My only concern about the usual accumulation of altcoins is depending on how Bitcoin is going to perform in the summer. Because if Bitcoin gets a shallow drop, Then let's say Bitcoin drops 10%, then the average altcoin will drop around 20, let's say. So maybe at that time, it's a good time to accumulate if macroeconomic factors are in good condition. We don't have any huge spikes in unemployment rate, or we start having news about rate cuts. That will be helpful for me to step in more heavily into altcoins. As something that I published today, which is easier to understand, you will see the disconnect between retail and institutions. So you will see wallets between 1 to 10 Bitcoin from March 2025 to May. Basically, this number is decreasing. So these wallets are offloading basically Bitcoin, if you want to think it implicitly. And on the other hand, when you have wallets which have 1,000 to 10,000 Bitcoin be on the upside since January of 2025, that's a good indication for you that there's a shift from retail, there's a transfer of wealth from retail to institutions. So you don't want, I understand that we are day to day people, we need to take profits, we need to pay our bills. Therefore, of course, you're going to take some profits, and it's a good thing to take some profits. I took some now, for example, at 17.9, I think. I also have it in the newsletter. Yeah. Because because I was so heavily on Bitcoin, I wanted to have cash on the side to take advantage of some good deals on altcoins and prepare if I feel confident that we're going to have an altcoin season and be able to allocate. Because in the end, investing strategy is depending on you, on your risk level, and how much cash you have available. If you don't have any available, and imagine you haven't dropped in the summer and you are not able to take the most of it, that will be, I think, not ideal. And my conviction that we are going to have a very good Q4 is, I think, this shift from the new administration in the US, which basically they seems to have many good news regarding the economy, regarding Bitcoin, which I am explaining in the article, that it can boost us to higher prices. We have Japan, which is in a really bad position, and there is a high chance that they're going to start the printing machine on because their banking system and the economy is in a very bad shape. And many other things, which of course you need to keep an eye on them all the time. We don't have any clarity yet on what's going to happen with tariffs, so you you need to stay ahead of the game, and that is why you need to have tools to help you make these decisions and be able to stay on top of it and make the best decision possible depending on your risk tolerance. Also, because you will see that the Bitcoin supply and profit is 100% now, that increases the selling pressure as well. So it will not be surprised to me if I see a drop in the next couple of weeks, as it's completely understandable for people to take some profits off the table. They were holding Bitcoin when everyone was saying that it's a good time to exit the market because the bear market started, and maybe the 70 or 80% of the influencers that I saw on Twitter at the time were saying that the bear market started, that it's going to be a left translated cycle, and unfortunately they took a lot of people with them. They exited the market, and unfortunately now they are in a bad position, and that is why I had also posted this, because when at the time I was saying that, what I was saying was exactly opposite of many of the influencers, was keep accumulating when we had the drop, and that came with a lot of backlash. But in the end, now people did very well, and I'm happy for them, because the goal in the end is for us to move together to this market and have tools to be able to rival institutions, which they have all this information They know what the whales are doing. They know the revenue of miners. They know when miners are starting to exit in the market. They know where altcoin seasons is starting and all that stuff. So I hope you like the video. Please give us a thumbs up and leave a comment. I try to keep the video as quick as possible. And if you found any value on it, please give us a thumbs up. Until next time, bye bye.